You are Locked On Bulls Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Chicago on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Bulls Postcast here on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. Joe George here with you as the Bulls win 125-123 against the Orlando Magic. Coby White sets a career high in points with 44 on the night. An absolute dominant game by Coby White for the Bulls in this one. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So the Bulls win this game. This game is all over the place. You've got Jalen Smith and Zach Collins both fouling out of the game. You've got 5 guys in double-digit points. All of your starters, except for Zach Collins, who only played 12 minutes in this game. But Buzelis has 11, Tre Jones has 20, Josh Giddey has 19 points, 13 rebounds, so he gets another double-double. Kevin Huerter off the bench gets 13, but Coby White, 44 points, 9 straight points in the fourth quarter. The Bulls are going to be a playing team. We know that. They're now going to be 3.5 games up unless Brooklyn wins tonight on both the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. These games are always crazy. I don't know what it is about the Orlando Magic, but these games always seem to come down to the wire, something strange happening, weird things happen throughout the game, but the Bulls Magic games are always highly entertaining. Already a Coby White here in the comment. He went crazy in this game. And we've seen Coby White have good games. Obviously, career high in points, but from the three-point line, driving to the lane, the near steal there at the very end of the fourth quarter, he was everywhere and everything we've always like. This is like what you dream of, I think, of Coby White. Like when you think about what he could be as a scorer, you see flashes of this. Like you see flashes of moments where the other night when he hit 3 straight threes in a row, there are just moments when Coby White can do things that are so much fun to watch, kind of in the way it was with Zach LaVine at times, where he can just go off. And Stacey King's now been talking about this for 2 straight broadcasts, and I totally agree. He is now really answering the question about how do Josh Giddey and Coby White play together. He's a shooting guard. Him off the ball has worked so well for the Chicago Bulls. They are playing well constantly in these last 5-6 games. Even if they're not winning these games, they're just playing good basketball. And Coby White specifically, his shot has turned a corner in the last handful of games. And tonight just put it on a totally different level with what we are seeing from him any given moment, any given night. We're seeing big moments from Coby. And you really needed it in this game. Like you think back to what happened, it starts as a clunker. You start the game 0 for 6 from the field. Like I said, you lose Jalen Smith, you lose Zach Collins. They can't give you, we got Julian Phillips and Modest Buzelis playing the 5. They're guarding Paolo Banchero in clutch moments. And a bunch of weird things are happening in this game. You've got 2 different jump ball situations to where the Bulls could have called a timeout. The first one where Modest got it, he got the tip, and then Coby White went down and scored. And you could have called a timeout on the other one where apparently we're going by WWE rules tonight because Wendell Carter jumped on top of Coby White, did not make a play for the basketball. I'm not one to complain about the refs. You've got the moment there at the end where Julian Phillips could have cost the Bulls the game by getting to the ball a little too early while it's still on the rim. And as they point out on the broadcast, very fair argument that Anthony Black, I believe it was, touched the backboard. That could have been called basket interference as well on the Orlando Magic, but they didn't flip it. They kept it with the Bulls. They kept it with Coby White. Kept it with Julian Phillips and his foul call or offensive interference call. And that felt like the moment they were like, oh, they're going to lose this game. And then they kind of got bailed out in the same way. Like yes, not to take too much away from the Bulls and the way they won this game. Wendell Carter, you gotta lay it up, man. He gets the ball back after the Banchero missed 3. He's got it with time, and if he just lays the ball up, this game is going to overtime. And who knows what happens at that point. Instead, he tries to cock back and dunk it as the time is expiring. Just a kind of boneheaded play from Wendell Carter there that saves the Bulls in this one. But there's just not enough good things to say from Coby White. Look at this stretch here in the fourth quarter. And look, this is, a game too where you're down 11. So Coby White, after Jalen Smith fouls out with 8 minutes and 11 seconds, and they gave Jalen Smith the tech, and he probably could have got another one for going at it with the fan. Coby White gets an and one. It makes it 114-111. Modest gets stuck in the post. He cuts to the rim. He gets the ball from Modest. He dunks on Paolo Banchero. He hits another three that puts him up to 42 points. That put the Bulls up 2. He drives again to make it 125 to 123. And if he wouldn't have got that, interference, it looked like the ball might have fallen in if Julian Phillips didn't do it. Obviously, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because the Bulls still won this game, but he could have ended up with 46 points on the night. So Coby White just goes absolutely insane. There's not even a question about it. Our locked on player of the game, it's Coby White.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
There's not a question. Coby White, player of the game. Of course, Coby White, 44 points, 7 of 15 from the three-point line, 16 of 28 from the field. So that's also what's impressive about this is it's not just the fact that he scored 44 points. It's a pretty efficient night. I mean, he missed 12 shots, but that's kind of what you see from a lot of NBA guys when they score 40, 50 points in a game. Like he's right there on the cusp of having a 50 burger. So he plays pretty efficiently. The three-point shot again looks better. I mean, there was that, Coby White had that shoulder injury earlier this season and felt like that really took him out of his shooting success. And it was a tough start to the year too. But as of recently, like him and Josh Giddey have just really started to play better together. It was only 4 shows ago that if you were listening to these postcast shows that, I was talking about how it felt like they didn't really fit always on the court together at the same time. And it just really feels like recently they've kind of found a way to make this thing work and take it to a really fun and entertaining level. And, not to, again, just keep repeating myself on these shows, but if you're going to be a playing team, like you might as well win these games. And if you're going to try to, tank, which really feels like is almost impossible for them to do, at least make these games highly entertaining for the fans that are still committed to this team. And as Coby White said quickly there, I was waiting before the show started just to make sure they weren't going to do anything weird. But Coby White's talking to Stacey King and Adam Amin there in the post-game interview. And they said they stick together. Like that's what you expect to see from, an NBA team. Like they're not going to give up. They're going to keep battling. And yeah, I think most Bulls fans would say in the long term, we would rather them lose all of these basketball games and tank out and get as close to the bottom as possible. But at least like in the moment, they're a lot of fun. And Coby White, I think my favorite part about Coby White this year, not just this game, of all the things he's done, the posters he's been getting. I mean, Wemby, the big European guy, I can't remember the other European guy he dunked on, Eubanks the other, like 2 weeks ago. And then the one on Banchero tonight. He is going after these guys in a big way. And just the more he attacks the rim, the better it makes the stuff on the outside as well. So just can't say enough great things about Coby White in this game, what he did for the Chicago Bulls. All right, when we get back, our next and final segment, we'll talk about kind of what happened, the forced small ball that happened, other key moments in this game. We'll do what we're talking about, the turning point of the game. That'll all be next here on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel, the Locked On Bulls Postcast. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Who's in your support system? We all need people to lean on, whether it's friends, family, mentors, or professionals. Even the strongest leaders and athletes know that asking for help makes them better. Therapy is one of the best ways to build a strong support system. It's not just for the tough times. It helps with setting boundaries, developing coping skills, and becoming the best version of yourself. You need to learn to ask for help, everyday benefits. You can all get that at BetterHelp. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Today's show also brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip or want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. So if you're watching during the fourth quarter today, the live odds come up from FanDuel on the Bulls radio TV station. The Bulls, at that point, the last time they showed them, were a 6-point dog. So they covered that one. Could have got them on the money line as well. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So Zach Collins and Jalen Smith both foul out of this game. We saw Julian Phillips, who has been another guy, kind of, of the young core group of guys, think about the future, who he's had an up and down season. I mean, there's been moments where he's clearly in the doghouse, kind of not brain dead like Wendell Carter moment there at the end of the game, but the offensive basket interference. I appreciate the aggressiveness, but he'll learn over time. Like that was the wrong decision there, and it worked out for the Bulls today, so it's not going to be something we harp on in a big way. And look, he only had 4 points. He took 2 shots. He made both of them. He had 1 rebound. He had 1 assist. He had 1 block. That stat line is not indicative of what Julian Phillips meant to the Bulls in this game. When you lost Jalen Smith and Zach Collins, both to foul trouble, and look, they both had 3 fouls in the second quarter. Zach Collins could have had a 4th one early. He got the block in the second quarter, but it could have easily been a foul call there and given him 4 fouls in the second and put the Bulls in a terrible position. And look, they were not in a good spot because of the foul trouble that these guys got into, but they found a way to overcome that moment and to find a way to go, face up with Paolo Banchero and, Wendell Carter Jr. Like, those are big guys versus the Bulls' normal situation, which is just Zach Collins, just Jalen Smith, just Nikola Vucevic. You don't have that second guy that really size-wise matches up well. Modest is pretty close to it, but Julian Phillips is obviously smaller than Modest Buzelis, and he's the one that athletically and defensively is being asked to stop these centers and big power forwards for the Magic in this game. He did a great job. Modest Buzelis as well. And I would think Josh Giddey is important to shout out here, who got another double-double in this game. But you think back to the possession where there was a 3 that went up, I think it was from Coby White, and then it just tips around a bunch, and then eventually the Bulls get the ball back. After these tips, they get a layup, and it's just that's another one where, like, yes, they lost the size advantage, but the Bulls, to their credit, I just feel like this team has played with better overall effort since the All-Star break, a different energy when you watch them play. It doesn't feel like very often they're stuck with the ball in their hands. Really, the only one of the night is a majority of the shot clock in which Modest Buzelis is in the post, locked down by locked down by Wendell Carter Jr. before Coby White cuts to the rim and puts Paolo on a poster. Like, that's really the only point where, like, it really stood out to me in this game where the ball just kind of stuck and they didn't really have anywhere to go with it. But again, like, you're seeing Tre Jones has done a good job replacing Ayo in terms of the energy that he's bringing on both sides, offensively and defensively. Like, he just gets to the bucket at a pace that just makes the Bulls move faster and doing the full court stuff. And, we've also seen the Bulls recently struggle in this 2-3 zone that they're pretty adamant about running. And even there was a funny moment in the game, I don't know if everyone caught it, but Josh Giddey and Tre Jones are at the top of the 3-point line in the 2-3 zone, and Josh Giddey literally pushes Tre Jones away to the left side, so to my left side, and to get him back into his position in the zone. And so you even see the communication there is getting a little bit better. So they're relying on that. They've been relying on that more, since the All-Star break. It hasn't worked out great. It really does feel like they're not always totally sure what the assignments are going to be, but Billy Donovan must clearly think that 2-3 zone is a reason why they're winning these games or are close in these games, or just that they need it to try to win these games. That they feel like they have to go to that thing multiple times in a game. Let's get to what you will be talking about with this game.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Well, again, it's Coby White. It's the dunk. It's the Coby White play overall in this game. But I think the bigger picture of this is honestly just the idea of what we mentioned in the first segment of the show, of what Josh Giddey and Coby White can look like together going forward. Because, again, that's really the end goal of this season at this point. It's not to make the play-in tournament. It's not to win play-in or playoff games. You're not going to get the number 1 pick unless the lottery balls fall your way. The most important thing for the rest of the season is learning how this core plays together, including the new guys that you traded for. And to highlight Tre Jones again, he fits in well. I think that's another thing we'll be talking about is it just feels like he's a good fit on this roster. They're obviously not going to, next season, they're not going to go into next year with Giddey and Coby White and Tre Jones and Lonzo Ball and Io. And did I miss any of the guards? I think I got them all at this point, at least the ones that heavily play. They play so, I guess, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, like however you want to categorize them. Like they have so many guards on this roster. But the more we watch this season, the more it plays out, the more we're going to see and figure out like what this core group of players is going to look like next season as you start to, again, like think about the long-term future of this team and just really where it's going to go. Let's get to our turning point of the game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Interestingly enough, I do think the turning point of this game is the technical foul and foul call on Jalen Smith that removed him from this game. It just seemed to work really well in the Bulls' favor. It's not just they played with good effort and everything overall without them. And again, to highlight Julian Phillips and Modest Buzelis and what they did in the paint against Boncaro and this larger Orlando Magic team, at least much bigger than what they were on the court. But really the turning point of this game does feel like when they are in the post and you lose Jalen Smith, and yes, he gets a tech on the way out, but to not collapse on yourself, because originally my first note here was going to be the 8-0 run that started the third quarter, to where that was probably the turning point of this game. And it really could have been. Again, like the Bulls have done a good job of not collapsing on themselves. The other one I would look at too, of where it really turned the corner there at the very end, is the Bulls are down 101 to 98. So 107 to 98. So they're down by a good chunk there. You see the Modest Buzelis block, and then in transition, Coby White hits a three to make it 107-101. That possession of basketball right there, the Buzelis block to the Coby White three to make it a 6-point game, that is really when, as they were trying to close the gap, as you're watching, I'm like, yeah, they can win this basketball game. Like they can find a way. And even though there was a lot of basketball and a lot of points left to be scored, but that play specifically, that sequence of plays on the defensive end and offensive end, both really stood out to me why the Bulls won those games. So I would say those are kind of the turning points of tonight's Bulls win over the Orlando Magic. So looking here at the standings, just to kind of see, we've been doing this at the end of every show, and the show's going to be a little bit different now. We're going to shrink down to 2 segments instead of 3 segments. So these are going to be about 20-minute POSTCAST shows now, which, reminder, you can catch them immediately on YouTube. So since we're shorter, if you miss it, you can check it out, Locked On Sports Chicago. Also in the Locked On Bulls audio feed, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find the Locked On Bulls audio channel, and that's where the audio of these shows drops as well. So the Bulls win this game. They move to 25-38 on the season. Coming into the night, they were 2.5 games up on both the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are down as we're live here, down by 5 with 42 seconds left to the Golden State Warriors. They were up big early. And the Philadelphia 76ers did win this game, lost their game today to the Boston Celtics, run out the building again. No Joel Embiid, I think no Paul George even in this game. So the Bulls will be 3.5 games up to solidify again their position as a team that's going to be in the play-in tournament, unfortunately. And fortunately, like, you know what? Like, we're just got at this point, I think I just got to change my tune a little bit about this play-in tournament. Like, just going to ride it out and enjoy it as much as we can, because they're going to be a play-in team. You look at what's happening around the league outside of your division, there really isn't that gap closing in terms of having to move from the 8th lottery position to the 9th or 10th lottery position. Like, the Bulls are not winning enough games consistently to really close that gap. I mean, the Spurs are, as of this moment now, a game and a half spots behind you, 2.5 games. Portland's full 3 games back. So it really, again, feels like the Bulls are locked in to the play-in tournament because of what's happening with Brooklyn, what's happening with Philly, and they're locked in to the 8th best lottery odds because of what's happening with the San Antonio Spurs and the Portland Trailblazers. And we've been wrapping up every single show the same way, a tankathon spin to see where we think the Bulls will land. The last time we did this, the Bulls landed with the 3rd overall pick in the draft. So we hit Sim Lottery, and this has the Bulls sticking right at 8. So probably the reality of where the Bulls are at in this year's NBA draft. Probably picking 8th, probably a one and done in the play-in tournament, kind of sticking into the middle, which is not what you really want in the NBA right now. But maybe next offseason, the front office will handle things in a better way. So that will do it for this episode of the Locked On Bulls postcast here on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. Coby White, 44 points on the night. Hit that subscribe button as well. Remember to follow the Locked On Bulls YouTube channel as well. Next season, so next year, these postcast shows will just move to that channel. So if you're a Cubs fan and you want to hear postcast shows, just go to Locked On Cubs, find them. They do great content every single day right now. Our postcast shows are going to live on that channel. We're going to move to this team-specific channel. So for Notre Dame, the Cubs, the Bulls, the Bears, all the postcast shows will be on that channel and their audio feeds as well. So make sure you hit those channels, check them out. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next time. Peace.